My husband's friend came to fix our leaky shower. I didn't realize he was already in the house. Not until the glass fogged up. And I saw his shadow standing right there. My name is Lisa. I'm 44 years old, and until recently, I thought my life was quiet in the way it was supposed to be. Safe. Predictable. I live in a 3-bedroom ranch house just outside of Lexington, Kentucky. It's the kind of place where neighbors wave from porches they've sat on for 20 years, where the biggest excitement is a new grocery store going in on Route 68. I've been married to Mitch for almost 19 years. He's good to me, kind in the way that says, I'll take your car to get the oil changed, not the way that holds your face like it's a secret. We have 2 kids, both grown now. One in college, one in the Air Force. It's quiet here now, emptier than I thought it would be. And somewhere along the way, while I was packing lunches and folding socks, I stopped recognizing the woman in the mirror. She has laugh lines, sure, but there's something behind her eyes that's gone dull. Like a fire that ran out of something to burn. It started with a drip. The shower in the hall bathroom had been leaking for weeks, and Mitch kept putting it off. I'll get to it, he'd say, between watching the news and falling asleep on the couch by 9:30. So when Brad offered to fix it, I didn't think twice. Brad has been Mitch's best friend since high school. I used to joke he was part of the marriage. He's over for every game day, every holiday cookout, every sudden beer run when they need a break from the women. He's taller than Mitch, leaner too. The kind of man who always looks like he's just come from working with his hands. Worn-in jeans, a t-shirt with grease on the hem, and that easy southern drawl that makes everything sound slower, smoother. When I opened the front door and saw him standing there with a tool bag in one hand and a smirk that crept into his eyes, I felt something shift in my chest. "Didn't expect you home," he said, stepping inside. "I work from home on Thursdays," I replied, suddenly aware of the robe clinging to my hips. He didn't look away. It was just small things at first. I made coffee while he worked, and he asked for it how he always did, black, 2 sugars. But this time, when I handed it to him, his fingers brushed mine. He didn't pull away. The hallway was narrow, and when I passed him to grab towels, his hand steadied my waist, careful now. And then there was the way he talked to me. Not about the weather or how the Wildcats were doing. No, he asked about me. "What's it like having the house to yourself now? Bet it gets real quiet in the evenings. You still paint like you used to?" It caught me off guard. I hadn't picked up a brush in years. Not since the kids were little and I'd steal 20 minutes between school pickups. I stopped, I told him. He tilted his head, I soughed. "That's a shame. You always had that look. Like you saw the world in colors the rest of us missed." I didn't know what to say to that. No one had seen me like that in, maybe ever. The shower was halfway done, but he said he'd need to come back the next day. I said okay too fast. The next morning, I forgot he was coming. I'd gotten into the shower after my walk, sweat still clinging to my skin, steam curling against the tiles. The water was hot, almost too hot, and I stood there letting it burn off everything I didn't have words for. The bathroom door creaked. I froze. Through the haze of the glass, I saw a shadow move. Not Mitch. Too tall. "Brad?" I called out, my voice catching. He didn't answer, just stood there, backlit by hallway light, one hand against the fogged glass like he was waiting for something. I clutched the towel from the hook, wrapped it around me with trembling hands, and opened the door just a crack. His eyes met mine. Neither of us moved. "Didn't mean to scare you," he said, voice low. "I thought you'd be." I knocked. The door was open. "You shouldn't be in here." "I know." But he didn't leave. And I didn't ask him to. He stepped closer, the silence between us thick as the steam still curling in the air. "I'll come back later," he finally said, voice tight like it hurt to say it. And then he left, but his scent, wood, leather, something male and familiar stayed with me. I leaned against the door after he was gone. Heart racing. Towel clutched to my chest like it could stop what was already happening. The next morning, I scrubbed the bathroom until my knuckles turned raw. The grout gleamed. The glass doors no longer fogged, but I could still see him there. That outline, the shadow, the way his fingers had rested against the glass like he wanted to reach through it. I kept thinking I'd imagined the whole thing. That maybe I was lonely enough to invent a story out of steam and silence. But the towel was still damp from where I'd pressed it to my chest, and my heart still pounded every time I thought about the way he looked at me. I didn't tell Mitch. I didn't need to. He didn't notice anything anyway. That night, he fell asleep in the recliner with the TV flickering and a beer half empty on the coffee table. I watched him for a long time, trying to remember if I had ever felt nervous around him. If he had ever made my stomach twist or my skin hum like it had in that bathroom. Brad didn't come the next day, or the day after, but he texted, "Brad, sorry for this morning. Should have knocked louder. You okay?" I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering. Me. I'm fine. It was unexpected. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then came back. Brad. Wasn't just the steam. I saw something I shouldn't have. Felt something I didn't mean to. I didn't respond. I didn't delete the message either. A week passed. The shower still needed work. So did I. Mitch had a fishing trip planned that weekend. Him and 2 of his buddies from work, and of course Brad was supposed to go too. But the night before, Brad called to say he wasn't feeling well. Mitch didn't press. He packed the truck and left before dawn Saturday morning. By noon, Brad's truck was in my driveway. I stood in the kitchen, barefoot, watching the coffee brew even though I didn't need any. The smell reminded me of that morning, of how close we came to something I couldn't name, but hadn't stopped thinking about. He knocked twice. Not like the first time. These were slower. Deliberate. I opened the door. He didn't bring his tool bag. Just himself. I figured I owed you a real apology, he said, stepping inside. You already texted, I replied, voice quieter than I intended. Texting doesn't cover everything, he said, looking at me the way he had in the mirror once, like I was something valuable he forgot he knew. We didn't talk about the shower. Instead, we sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee that went cold. I don't remember who leaned closer first, only that our elbows touched. That I could hear his breath and smell that same warm, earthy scent that had lingered on my towel. He reached for my hand across the table, and I didn't pull away. I've been thinking about you, he said. I'm married. So am I. To loyalty. To my best friend. He said it like it hurt. I swallowed the lump forming in my throat. Then why are you here? He looked down at our joined hands, then up again. Because for the first time in years, someone looked at me like I was more than a backup plan. And I think I did the same to you. I should have stopped it. I should have said something about vows, about lines that shouldn't be crossed. But instead, I whispered, I haven't felt wanted in a long time. Brad didn't kiss me. He didn't touch anything more than my hand. But when he left, he brushed his thumb across my palm and said, we both felt it, even if we don't say it out loud. That night, I painted for the first time in years. Something abstract. Swirls of gray and red. My fingers shook the whole time. I hid the canvas before Mitch got home. Life returned to normal. On the outside. But inside, everything tilted sideways. I kept imagining what would have happened if I hadn't grabbed the towel. If I had stepped out of the shower and let him see me, really see me, the way Mitch hadn't in years. The guilt gnawed at me, but it wasn't clean guilt. It was tangled up in longing and resentment and something I didn't want to name. 3 weeks later, Mitch came home with a new security system. My buddy at work gave me a discount, he said. Said these new ones sync to your phone. Can check M from anywhere. I laughed. Who's breaking into a house with no jewelry and a lazy golden retriever? He shrugged. Doesn't hurt to be safe. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of the cameras, but because of what they might see. I hadn't done anything. Not technically. Not yet. But I started to wonder if that was about to change. Brad had pulled away. Less texting. Shorter answers. When we ran into each other at the grocery store, he barely made eye contact. Then, one Saturday afternoon, Mitch was outside cleaning the gutters. I was in the laundry room, folding towels, when I heard the front door creak open. I thought it was Mitch. You need help. No answer. I walked into the living room and saw Brad. Door was unlocked, he said. I nodded, throat tight. Mitch is home. I know, he said. But I had to see you. He stepped closer. Before I could respond, we both heard it, boots on the porch. The sound of Mitch's voice calling the dog. Brad's hand dropped from my wrist like it burned him. He left through the back door. I thought we were in the clear, until 2 days later, Mitch sat me down at the kitchen table. There was a stillness to him I'd never seen before. Not anger, not hurt, just quiet. He slid his phone across the table. Tell me what this is. The screen showed a freeze frame from the security camera in the living room. Me and Brad. Close. Too close. The timestamp matched the day Mitch had been cleaning the gutters. I stared at it for a long time. We didn't do anything, I finally said. Mitch didn't look at me. But you wanted to. It wasn't a question. And I didn't deny it. That night, Mitch didn't sleep in the bed. He didn't yell. Didn't accuse. Just stood up from the table, picked up his keys, and drove somewhere I didn't ask about. When he came back the next morning, he said, I'm going to stay at Brad's place for a while. I flinched. I know, he said, flatly. That's the point. He left with one duffel bag and the dog. I didn't cry right away. Not until I walked into the bathroom and saw the shower finally fixed. No more drip. The tile sealed. The glass spotless. And I remembered the look in Brad's eyes. The silence in Mitch's. I sat on the edge of the tub, clutching a towel that still smelled faintly of pine detergent and guilt. The ring was gone from Mitch's nightstand. But the canvas I'd hidden in the closet, red and gray, swirling and aching, was still there. I hung it in the hallway, let it speak for everything I couldn't. He left the ring. I left everything else.